Hold on to your hats, folks, because the geopolitical tectonic plates just shifted. China and Saudi Arabia, two countries not exactly known for their love of democracy or human rights, are now best buddies. This isn't just two kids sharing a juice box in the global playground. This is a major realignment of power with potentially huge consequences for, well, everyone. We're talking about a potential challenge to the US dollar as the world's reserve currency. We're talking about a reshaping of global energy markets. And we're talking about a whole lot of nervous diplomats in Washington, Brussels, and beyond. Now, I know what you're thinking. John, this all sounds very serious and complicated. And you'd be right. But don't worry, I'm here to break it down for you in a way that even a toddler hopped up on juice boxes can understand. So buckle up, Buttercup, because things are about to get interesting. So, what exactly did Saudi Arabia offer China? Well, picture this. A giant platter piled high with delicious, energy-rich crude oil. That's right, the Saudis have offered China preferential access to their vast oil reserves. But wait, there's more. They've also proposed deeper cooperation on trade, and perhaps most importantly, defense. We're talking arms deals, joint military projects, the whole shebang. And here's the kicker. They've even hinted at the possibility of pricing some of that sweet, sweet crude oil in Chinese yuan. Now, I'm no oil baron, though I do enjoy a good barrel of crude, light on the sulfur, but even I can see that this is a pretty big deal. It's like offering your friend a bite of your ice cream and then throwing in the whole damn cone, the factory that made it, and the cow that produced the milk. So, why did China say yes to this tempting offer? Well, for starters, they're a rapidly growing economy with an insatiable thirst for energy. Securing a reliable and affordable supply of oil is like finding a lifetime supply of free pizza. You just don't say no. But it's more than just filling their gas tanks. This alliance is a strategic masterstroke by China, a way to project their power and influence on the world stage. It weakens the US dollar, undermines American influence in the Middle East, and gives China a powerful new ally in a strategically vital region. Think of it like this. China's playing a long game of geopolitical chess, and this alliance is like a well-placed knight, threatening to checkmate the American king. Of course, there are risks involved. China's making some powerful enemies in Washington, but hey, you don't become a global superpower by playing it safe. Now, let's talk about the elephant in the room, the petrodollar. This term refers to the global practice of pricing oil in US dollars, a system that has been in place for decades and has had far-reaching implications for international trade and finance. Since the 1970s, the US dollar has reigned supreme as the world's reserve currency, largely thanks to an agreement with Saudi Arabia to price oil exclusively in dollars. This arrangement has not only bolstered the US economy, but also cemented its geopolitical influence across the globe. This has given the US enormous economic and geopolitical leverage. The ability to control the world's primary reserve currency has allowed the US to exert influence in international markets, dictate terms in global trade, and maintain a dominant position in global politics. But the Saudi-China alliance could change all that. As China continues to grow as an economic powerhouse, its strategic partnerships, especially with oil-rich nations like Saudi Arabia, are becoming increasingly significant. If they start pricing oil in yuan, it could trigger a domino effect, leading other countries to ditch the dollar and embrace alternative currencies. This shift could undermine the dollar's dominance and reshape the global financial landscape. This would be a seismic shift in the global financial system, potentially weakening the US economy and undermining American influence. The ripple effects could be felt across various sectors, from international trade to global investments. Imagine a world where the dollar is no longer king. The implications are vast and complex, affecting everything from the cost of goods to the stability of financial markets worldwide. It's enough to give a Wall Street banker a heart attack. The financial sector, which has long relied on the stability and dominance of the dollar, would face unprecedented challenges and uncertainties. Of course, the death of the petrodollar has been predicted before, and it hasn't happened yet. Skeptics argue that the dollar's entrenched position and the complexities of global finance make such a shift unlikely in the near term. But this time, things feel different. The geopolitical dynamics are shifting, and the economic strategies of major players like China and Saudi Arabia are evolving in ways that could challenge the status quo. The stakes are higher, the players are bolder, and the global landscape is changing faster than ever. As we move forward, The potential for a seismic shift in global finance is more real than it has ever been, and the world is watching closely. Section 5. Washington's Nightmare. A new challenger approaches. So, how are the folks in Washington reacting to all this? The atmosphere is tense, to say the least. Politicians are scrambling to understand the full implications of this new geopolitical shift. Well, imagine a bunch of wasps whose nest just got whacked with a stick. The sudden disruption has left them in a frenzy, buzzing around in a state of chaos. They're buzzing around, angry and confused, trying to figure out what to do. The confusion is palpable, and the stakes are incredibly high. The United States is facing a dilemma. The political landscape is shifting, and the traditional power dynamics are being challenged. They can't afford to ignore this challenge to their dominance, but they also don't want to risk a confrontation with two major powers. The stakes are higher than ever, and every move is being calculated with extreme caution. They could try to pressure Saudi Arabia with sanctions or diplomatic threats, hoping to sway their allegiance back to the West. But that could backfire spectacularly, pushing the Saudis closer to China. The alliance between Saudi Arabia and China is growing stronger, and any misstep could solidify their partnership. It's a classic case of damned if you do, damned if you don't. The United States is at a crossroads, and the path they choose will have far-reaching consequences. One thing's for sure, the United States is going to have to up its game if it wants to maintain its position as the world's top dog. The era of unchallenged dominance is fading, and new strategies are needed. The days of unchallenged American hegemony are over. The world is witnessing a shift in power, and the United States must adapt to this new reality. A new challenger has entered the arena, and it's not afraid to play rough. The geopolitical landscape is changing, and the United States must navigate these turbulent waters with skill and precision. Section 6. Europe's Dilemma, caught between a rock and a hard place. And what about Europe? Well, they're caught in the middle of this geopolitical tug-of-war like a bunch of innocent bystanders at a monster truck rally. They rely heavily on the Middle East for energy, but they're also wary of China's growing assertiveness. Some European countries might be tempted to side with the US, while others might see an opportunity to forge closer ties with China. It's a delicate balancing act, and one wrong move could have serious consequences. Imagine trying to walk a tightrope strung between two skyscrapers, with a pack of hungry wolves snapping at your heels. That's pretty much the situation Europe is in right now. They're going to need all their diplomatic skills to navigate this one. Section 7. Winners and Losers, Reshaping the Global Chessboard. So, who are the winners and losers in this brave new world? Well, it's still early days, but some clear patterns are emerging. China and Saudi Arabia are the obvious winners, at least in the short term. They've strengthened their positions and challenged the existing world order. The US, on the other hand, is facing a serious challenge to its dominance. They'll need to adapt quickly and strategically if they want to maintain their global leadership. Europe is in a precarious position, caught between competing powers and facing difficult choices. But the real wild card is the rest of the world. Developing countries, in particular, might see an opportunity to play the big powers off against each other and extract concessions. It's a risky game, but one with potentially high rewards. The global chessboard is being reshaped, and the outcome is far from certain. Section 8. A World Divided, the Return of Great Power Competition. The Saudi-China alliance is just the latest sign that we're entering a new era of great power competition. This partnership is emblematic of the shifting allegiances and strategic realignments that are becoming more common in today's geopolitical landscape. The Cold War might be over, but the battle for global influence is heating up. Nations are once again drawing lines in the sand, vying for dominance in a world that is increasingly interconnected, yet deeply divided. The US and its allies are facing a rising China, a resurgent Russia, and a host of other challenges. These powers are not just competing in traditional arenas like military might, but also in technology, economics, and even space exploration. The stakes are higher than ever, and the outcomes are far from certain. The global chessboard is more complex, with new players and unpredictable moves. This new era is characterized by uncertainty, instability, and the risk of conflict. The world is grappling with issues that transcend borders, from climate change to cyber threats, making the geopolitical landscape even more volatile. The risk of conflict is ever present, and the consequences could be dire. Economic sanctions, trade wars, and military skirmishes are just some of the tools being used in this high-stakes game. The old rules no longer apply, and the future is up for grabs. Treaties and agreements that once seemed unbreakable are now being questioned or outright ignored. The future is uncertain, and the stakes are incredibly high. Nations are investing in new technologies and forming new alliances to secure their place in this unpredictable world. It's a time of both danger and opportunity, a time that will test the mettle of nations and the wisdom of leaders. Those who can navigate these turbulent waters may emerge stronger, while others may falter. This era will test the resolve and ingenuity of global leaders. Their decisions will shape the future for better or worse. Imagine a world where the lines between friend and foe are blurred, where alliances shift like desert sands, and where the threat of conflict looms large. This is not a distant possibility, it's the reality we face today. The geopolitical landscape is more fluid than ever, with alliances forming and dissolving at a rapid pace. The traditional boundaries of friend and foe are becoming increasingly blurred. Alliances shift like desert sands, constantly changing and evolving. What was once a stable partnership can quickly become a contentious rivalry. The threat of conflict looms large, casting a shadow over diplomatic efforts and international relations. The world is on edge and the potential for missteps is high. That's the world we're living in now. A world where every decision carries weight and every action has far-reaching consequences. Buckle up, folks, because it's going to be a bumpy ride. The journey ahead is fraught with challenges, but also filled with opportunities for those who are prepared to seize them. Section 9. The future of global power, uncertainty, and opportunity. So, what does the future hold? Honestly, your guess is as good as mine. The only thing we know for sure is that the world is changing at an unprecedented pace. The Saudi-China alliance is just one piece of a much larger puzzle, a puzzle that is constantly evolving and defying easy answers. But amidst all the uncertainty, there is also opportunity. The old world order is crumbling, creating space for new ideas, new alliances, and new solutions to global challenges. The future is not predetermined, it's what we make it. The question is, are we up to the task?